Hey, thanks again for joining us here at Wings to Go for the Pigskin Preview. I'm Dave Ruthenberg, sports editor at the Enid News Eagle, and along with us every week is our own gridiron guru, Brian Hacker. How you doing today, Brian?
Pretty good, Dave. How are you?
Good.
Exciting weekend of football we just had.
You know, it's hard to believe in high school we've actually reached past the halfway point now, 5 games into the 10-game season.
Past the halfway point, a lot of teams' destiny for the playoffs has been set, positive or negative, and some teams have a chance to write their path as far as even going further.
Absolutely, and one of those I think would be Enid. Starting off very well in district play. Started off a couple weeks ago with a nice 15-point district win, and now a 10-point district win when they came home and took it to a pretty decent team that has had some success this season.
Beat a good Owasso team. Owasso is always going to be solid. They've had a couple of losses. They've lost to Jinx. They've lost to Broken Arrow, I believe.
Right.
But they're a solid team. And in district, when you get one up on an Owasso, you only have one other team in the district that has a winning record, and that's Union.
Yeah.
So Enid can kind of write their own destiny going forward.
Yeah, you're right. And that right now I think they're in district points. They're second behind Union. That's always a tough battle. But you're right. They've taken care of the business they've had to take care of so far, and that is so key. This week and next week are, I think, another couple of games that they should be able to deliver victories. And you're right. They're pretty much writing their own path to the playoffs.
Well, they go to Sand Springs this week. Sand Springs gave up 254 yards of passing. They gave up 3 touchdowns last week.
But
Sand Springs 0-5, but you're going to Sand Springs,
right.
So it's not like it's a home game and you're playing a subpar team at home. You have to go to their house and you have to do what you did at Ponca City, and let's go in, hit them in the mouth, and shut them down.
Absolutely. I was looking over Sand Springs' schedule or who they played so far. At home, they're pretty tough. I mean, they lost to Coweta 17-14, and then they lost to Sapulpa by a touchdown and to Stillwater by a touchdown. And last week they played Union. So this is a team that you cannot look past.
No, they held Union to 28 points too, and I think that
right.
shows their defense a little bit. So Enid can't take a breather this week. I mean, yeah, they're 0-5. It could be a letdown game, but Enid also has Stillwater, which is a pretty good rivalry coming up the following week. So
that's right.
You got to go out and get on the road. Do like you did at Ponca City. Go out and get up, and then just roll that momentum to the third quarter and let the second string play in the fourth quarter would be great.
Right. Yeah, if you had the fourth string playing in the second quarter, that'd be something.
Be even better.
All right. And so anyway, I think Enid is well positioned at this point. I think they've had some players really stepping up, and their defense has been looking really good. And I think, as we always say, defense wins games, and that is really, I think, what we're seeing with the Plainsmen. Their offense is moving on all cylinders. Their defense is really more than doing their part as well.
Go out, shut down Sand Springs, and really just go out and score some points. Get some points on the board. Don't have any silly turnovers. Don't have any silly penalties. Don't shoot yourself in the foot early on, and then you're good to go.
Next, we're going to look at the game between Pioneer, which is taking on Minco, an undefeated Minco team. Pioneer coming off a loss last week to O'Keene, 60-7. Minco is 5-0. But let's be honest, they really haven't played a tough schedule so far.
They haven't played a tough schedule. Their schedule kind of looks like what Pioneer is going to be the rest of the season.
Right.
Pioneer, after this game, plays people with 0-4, 0-5 records all the way throughout. So Pioneer's schedule is going to lighten up on paper tremendously. Now, they got a 5-0 team at Minco. They, like I said, they haven't played anybody, but they still have won 5 games.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you got to play the games that are on your schedule. That's all you can do, and they've succeeded in 5 straight weeks. I think it's another tough test for Pioneer.
Yeah, it is. Their defense is going to have to watch Cade Bad, the quarterback. Last week versus Hinton, he had 240 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, so he's going to get the ball in the air. Pioneer's going to have to play that zone defense or man defense, whatever it is they need to do to shut down the quarterback. And then Pioneer on the other side is going to have to score some points. So they've had a tough schedule. They've had boom, 4 tough weeks. This is the week that you can get back on the line and beat a positive team and then move on to the lighter part of your schedule.
Yeah, they've given up a lot of points, so I think what's going to be key for Pioneers also let's see if they can step up a little bit on defense, keep these teams under 40 points, because they can score. I think Pioneer can score, but it's awfully hard when you're giving up 40 or more points a game.
I agree.
Okay, moving on next, Brian, we're going to talk about OBA, which for the first time this year has a loss that they're coming back from. Went on the road, a long drive to Beaver, and they got beat pretty handily, 27-7, knocking them not only out of the ranks of the unbeaten, but in one poll completely out of the top 10 and number 9 in the other.
Right, yeah. And we talked about this last week. You get on the road, weird things happen on long bus trips to the Panhandle or wherever you're going.
Right.
If you go on a 4-hour bus trip to play a football game, weird things are going to happen. They left at noon. The whole routine was shaken up. And the team just really didn't show up last week. I didn't go watch the game, but from what I see and what I hear from talking to people that were there, just didn't have a good game. Beaver's beating people at home, and it's because those people are having to go those long bus rides.
That's right. It's an awful tough haul, and OBA may be on the good side of that this week when Texoma comes into play, another team that has to drive a long way, I think, no matter who they play. And it's a team that also played Beaver and lost in similar fashion to Beaver, 22-6. But they've struggled this year. They're 2-3, and I think this is a game where OBA is probably going to be able to get back on track pretty quickly.
They should get back on track. Their playoff hopes are still alive. I mean, they're still kind of control their own destiny. The issue is, you just got to win the games that you're supposed to win, and that's basically the rest of them the way out.
Right. I thought it was pretty severe the way they dropped out of the top 10 completely in the OK rankings and number 9 in AP. One loss on a tough road game. I think that was a little much.
It's a little much, but you're supposed to beat Beaver.
You are.
You're supposed to beat Beaver, and if you don't beat them on the road, whether you don't go from number 1 to number 5, people hit them pretty hard.
And that's what people look at when they see that result.
Exactly.
All right, Brian, we're going to take a look now at the Chisholm Longhorns, whose long season, let's be honest, it continued to be a long season last week. They lost 47-0. And I guess the question is, do they get on the board this week when they travel to Hennessy?
Hennessy, I've done some radio for down there at Hennessy on some games. That's a pretty raucous atmosphere. It's going to be tough for Chisholm to score any points. And Hennessy beat Perry pretty handily a couple weeks ago.
Yes, they did.
I just don't see it in the cards for Chisholm, but I see a win for Hennessy. That's a positive side for Hennessy folks.
Yep, and Hennessy should come away with a win. Chisholm kids, hopefully they get a little more competitive so they feel a little better about themselves as well. Brian, let's talk a little 8-man football. How about that?
That's where my heart's at.
We got some incredible 8-man football being played in the area. Covington Douglas last week took on Timberlake in a wild game, 42-40. That one of our reporters had the first time to experience, and he said he has never seen a wilder, crazier atmosphere than that.
That is the place to go watch a game, especially a big game like that. Timberlake puts on the college atmosphere. Covington Douglas goes on the road and plays a really good team, and they pull out the victory. So great job. I mean, Sterling comes up with 210 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's just amazing what he did. They showed that they were the top of the class in 8-man football.
Yeah, and this week Covington Douglas, they go on the road, and they take on a pretty good team once again, Pond Creek Hunter.
Pond Creek Hunter's been rolling. They lost to Laverne, 22-40, but they really have rolled pretty well, and they haven't really had a close game until Laverne, and they lost. Cody Coates last week, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. So you've got stars for both teams. In an 8-man football, you've got to have that star, but you've also got to have some surrounding supporting cast. I'm going to go on a limb. Covington Douglas going into Pond Creek Hunter this week. I'm going to take Pond Creek Hunter. They're going to win the game.
Taking a little bit of a gutsy call there. An awfully big emotional game it was for Covington Douglas. Mm-hmm. And do the kids come down from that? Are they still thinking about that game when they go on the road to Pond Creek? I think that'll be one of the keys to watch.
Well, I think Pond Creek Hunter comes off the emotional loss and is going to come out and just fired up, and absolutely. It's going to be another good game to get up and see, and I tell you what, it's going to be a game that Pond Creek Hunter, I think, comes out and wins.
Be a fun one. Watch some 8-man football this week. There's a little bit of a light schedule, but there is plenty still to talk about. And I guess maybe we should start talking about Oklahoma's win over Texas in the big rivalry game. They looked like they were going to blow Texas out, and then they just they had to hang on, something we've seen in all but one of their games.
Yeah, they had to hang on. It's like they turned the key off. They goes on idle, machine runs, and the engine's running, but nobody's driving the vehicle. So OU gets a week off. Chance to regroup, rehash, get some injured bodies built back up before they head on the road next week. Yeah,
and I think positives, Landry Jones is looking pretty good. They've got a really solid running attack. I think it's just a matter of now, there's something in the back of their heads now when they enter the late third quarter. Are they thinking to themselves, okay, don't screw up, let's not blow it, let's not let this happen again?
Yeah, they really need to just kind of simmer it down and continue what they're doing to get where they're at. And I blame the coaches a little bit. Coaches have got to stop slowing down the offense.
Yes.
That offense is really, when they put that fast offense in, they're rolling and they're scoring and they're moving up down the field. You need to continue that. Get up 4 or 5 touchdowns, then turn it off.
Then pull off on the accelerator a little bit.
Run the clock then.
Yeah, I agree. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now they got a week off and give them a chance to recover from the big rivalry, and now they're up to number 6 and number 7 in the polls as well.
Yeah, get a good rest.
Yep, that'll be the key for them. We want to talk about Oklahoma State since they're playing on a Friday night. High school football night, and they're playing on a Friday night. Thank you, ESPN, for
putting this on TV, because we can't get on TV on a Saturday because on a home game. No, I tell you what, why they're playing this game on a Friday night, that's dedicated to high school football. I mean,
right.
Nothing good happens in college on Friday night. You sit there and watch last week, you watch BYU go to whoever, Idaho State, and get blown out.
Yeah.
This is not a good situation for OSU. You're going to go down to Louisiana Lafayette. It's going to be muggy. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere.
Yep.
I mean, you don't think they know how to party in Louisiana, and you're playing on a Friday night? Bad things happen.
I've seen many teams go down into Louisiana to play, in the mugginess, as you mentioned, the humidity is something that is very, very difficult to overcome.
I listened to Gundy's press conference yesterday, and one of the things was this is their first road trip, so he's calling on the seniors and the leaders to help the boys that are younger not get in trouble is what he's saying, because in Louisiana
right.
you can get in a little bit of trouble too. So OSU needs to go down, and they had a tough game last week. They need to go down there and just smash Louisiana Lafayette right in the mouth. Louisiana Lafayette is going to throw the ball all day long. 310 pass yards to 41 rush last game, at about the same average in the other games. Got to stop the pass.
Yeah, they do. The Raging Cajuns love to throw the ball, and like you said, the kids need to stay out of trouble because, as we all know, what happens in Lafayette, Louisiana, stays in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Let's hope so.
Okay.
Let's hope so.
And another team we want to talk about a little, Tulsa had a nice win last week, taking down Memphis and holding Memphis to 1 touchdown, so they showed a little defense.
Defense against Memphis, that's not saying much, but they was defense. They go this week, they go on the road to Dallas. They're playing SMU.
Right.
Now, SMU has June Jones as their
That's
as their coach, who was at Hawaii when Hawaii was on their massive run and scoring 70 and 80 points a game. So this is the game where defense is going to be important.
Absolutely. You cannot rule them out with June Jones there. In fact, even last year, June Jones took SMU to a bowl game, of all things. And look where Hawaii is right now.
Mm-hmm.
He is a big factor with that SMU team.
Huge factor. Both teams like to score points. This is the first one to 50 wins.
I think you're right. And Tulsa's used to those, aren't they?
They love those kind of games, unfortunately.
Should be an entertaining game for the Golden Hurricane.
Yep. Thanks for joining us this week.
Yep. I'm Dave Ruthenberg from the News and Eagle, and Brian Hacker from Wings to Go. Thank you so much for joining us.